Alright, so I'm just going to take you through what I've got in my bag here. First I'll show you the weight. Now I don't have 11.2 pounds. The water bottle's not full. There's no food in it. And the only thing that I don't have is my bedroll, because it's out in the garage, for the mat. It weighs a pound. And it just rolls up, and these straps hold it to the bottom. It's not very big. It's a Alps mountaineering foam mat that normally straps on the bottom there. So you can imagine you put water and food in there. I mean, it's maybe 20 pounds. Alright, so that's the pack that I use. It's not very big. I threw a one-man tent on it. Sometimes I carry a different one-man tent, or sometimes I carry the hammock sleep system. Doesn't matter. It takes up the same space no matter which way you go. The hammock thing is kind of nice because it keeps you off the ground, but doesn't really save much space as far as packing it goes, except for the fact that you don't need to carry a bedroll then unless it's cold out. The straps on this aren't much. This is a Swiss Army rucksack. They are, you can unclip them here if you needed to quickly get out of the bag. Does it on both sides. So I'll just open this up once. It's pretty easy to open it actually. You just pull those out. It holds tight unless you push down on them from the top. There's a whistle. You can see that right away. Should always carry a whistle. There's a tent. This is a one-man bivy. It's actually pretty spacious and it's warm, so it's good in the cooler weather. Got 2 fleece blankets packed in here. This is like a towel. And it's just clipped into the top here, so I could flip it over like that. And you can see there it is. It's a pretty big towel. And then also clipped into the top there for quick access is a multi-tool. Inside there's not a whole lot. This is just a bag of some tinder. So you can see there's cotton balls and some wood shavings in there that are kept dry. This is my primary knife. This would actually go on my belt, but it's in the bag for storage. And it's got a rod on it for starting fires. It's a magnesium rod with a ferro rod. It's not very good. I would carry a larger ferro rod. That wouldn't go in the pack though. That would go in my pocket. This end here is just for actually striking those rods, and then it's a 1095 high carbon steel Brothers of Bushcraft Fieldcraft edition. Alright, so let's see what's left in here. This is a compass. It's made by Sun2. It's in an old Night Eyes. It's actually a phone case for like a slider phone. The compass has a lot of features on it. These run about 60 bucks on Amazon. You see Sun2. Open it up. It's got a very good mirror. So you could see if you had something in your face or if you needed to signal, you can do that. You got your sighting abilities, so you can do dead reckoning or work it with a map with the measurement tools. It's got a magnifying glass. The bezel, you can rotate the bezel so that you could line it up and do navigation with that. Doesn't have batteries, so it always works. It's also got an inclinometer on it, so you could go in and measure the angle of a slope. Hold that to it. If I can get it to focus. Oh, come on. It doesn't want to focus because of the... There we go. Now you can see you can measure angle with it. This cook pot is the MSR Seagull. That's always in there. I have a larger one. This is the smaller one. I think you can cook for 2 people in this smaller one. I have a 1.1 liter, and then I think this is like less than 1 liter. I don't remember exactly. It's not the smallest one, but it's one of the smaller ones. This lid just sits on there, it comes off. When it's sealed up, it's pretty close to watertight. You can see how tight that was. These is some heavy-duty needles, which I have used to do some repairs on this backpack before. So there we go. Med kit, it's pretty basic. Some gauze, tape, some basic eye drops and Neosporin and Band-Aids in there. Some twine, dinosaur oatmeal, because that tastes better when it's dinosaur shaped. Some peanuts, protein bar, a couple of marshmallows. Don't know why those are in there. And that's the pot. I shove this thing right in the fire and it cleans up pretty good. You could clean that back to a shine if you really cared. I don't. And then the lid you could use as a fry pan or just as a place to prepare food and things before you put it in the pot. You can lid it up like that. That works really well. The handle's really stable, really sturdy. Like I said, when it locks up, you really gotta click it yourself, and then you'll just put that through the center like that, and then it snaps down, and it is. You can hear this. You can't wiggle this at all. It's tight. All right, Mylar space blanket. Not useful as a blanket. Don't use it as a blanket. It's a bad idea to use it as a blanket, but it's good if you need to use it as part of a shelter, as like a reflective layer to reflect heat back down to you. But they're not a good idea to use it as a blanket. This you can use as a blanket. This is an emergency survival blanket. Also Mylar inside, but it's a lot larger and more like sleeping bag shaped. I've never had to use this one, but you could use it. They also show some different additional uses that you could do, using it as a ground tarp or a shelter, or covering gear with it. This is much larger than that space blanket, and that's kind of what makes it more usable. The space blanket's really hard to wrap up in, and honestly, if it was cold out, it collects a lot of moisture, and you'd probably get hypothermia in it. And then I've also got a lighter, because they work really well unless they're cold and wet, and use your ferro rod. I would normally carry a ferro rod in my pocket, though I don't carry it on my person. On this side of the pack, I've got my Gerber saw. It's just a folding saw. It's a pretty lightweight saw, and it's got extra blades in this case too. You can see right where my finger is. There's the case for the extra blades. It's just a screw type with a button, so you could use that button and it opens up. If I can get it, I probably can't get it with one hand, but that's the saw. And then there's a dry bag tucked down the side here. This is where I'd normally keep my food. Don't have any food in the pack right now. This is not super interesting to look at. On this other side is where the rest of my mess kit would be. I'll try to pull this out in one slide. You wouldn't need to carry all of this at once, and I wouldn't normally pull it all out at once either. Let me take it out piecewise. In here, stainless steel water bottle. You can use that directly in the fire if you need to, minus the plastic cap. This is a Stanley set. This actually normally would nest like that, but I nest other things in it. And then there's a GSI cup. The Stanley cup has two more plastic cups in it. You don't always need to carry them, but there's two cups here if you have two people. It's marked out so you can measure things with it. The handle locks into place with the little slidey thing. It's got a lid with strainer holes. GSI cup sits on the bottom of that. It's got a fold out handle so you could put that directly in the fire and cook something up. I've never used this one. I just bought it last 2 weeks ago. And then this lid from the Stanley cup actually will fit on the GSI cup. So that all just nests together like this. And then that would sit there. Squeeze and lock that up. And then these handles like that. So that is the majority of what I put in my backpack. So this multi-tool is nothing fancy, by the way. I didn't pull it out, but it's cheap. Got it at the career fair, actually. But it works if you had to grab something hot out of the fire. It's got a pliers. The rest of the tools are there. They're not high quality by any stretch of the imagination, but you could use them in a pinch. The biggest thing is it's really, really light, like super light, and it's got a pliers on it. So yeah, it's pretty much everything that's in that bag. Alright guys, I'm Aaron with Acoustic Snowshoe. Thanks for watching, and I hope the information in the video was helpful, or at least interesting.